This energetic young king is now facing a situation that has left fans completely shook. Behind the flashy rap persona, he was living a side of life most people didn't see, one that eventually led to serious trouble. The truth behind his downfall is darker than anyone imagined, and we're breaking it all down. King Harris's legal drama is playing out right before our eyes. Yo, what's up, fam? We're diving straight into some real street chaos that's shaking up the hip-hop world. We're talking about King Harris, son of T.I. and Tiny. Harris, and how this young blood went from living lavish to catching legal heat, even clashing with his own mom. This isn't your typical rich kid acting out. Nah, this goes deeper into culture, struggle, and what happens when trying to keep it real goes too far. Before we get into it, let me keep it 100. The streets are buzzing. Social media flooded with wild rumors. King locked up for years, allegedly getting jumped in jail, the whole chaotic circus. But we're here to separate facts from fiction. The truth alone is dramatic enough. Here's the scene. October 14th, 2024, a day that flipped King Harris's world upside down. He was rolling through Dunwoody, Georgia, likely thinking he was just living his best life, when he almost clipped a police cruiser leaving a gas station. The officer pulled him over for failure to yield, noticed the smell of marijuana, and spotted a firearm on his hip. Hold up, before you think this was harassment, King cooperated immediately. No drama, no resistance, just caught slipping. Here's where it gets spicy. The officer ran his info and discovered an active bench warrant from Pickens County, stemming from August 2022 charges for speeding, DUI, and driving with a suspended license. Basically, he had been dodging court dates for 2 years, thinking the streets would forget. Nah, that's not how it works. During the stop, officers found marijuana and a firearm, but King stayed calm. The officer removed the piece, cuffed him, and that was it. Real recognized real. He didn't act tough or escalate the situation. But this story isn't just about a rich kid catching a case. King has been trying to prove he's more than his dad's son. He talks about standing on business and connecting with the streets, even spending time living with his grandmother in a rough Atlanta neighborhood to experience life. Beyond luxury, here's where it gets messy. While King was in DB County Jail, waiting for transfer to Pickens County, his mom, Tiny Harris, went live on social media, calling him out, saying he wasn't thinking straight. Imagine your own mom going live roasting you while you're locked up. That's cold. But Tiny didn't stop there. She defended her son, but also kept it real about his choices. One thing she made clear: King doesn't mess with anyone unless they mess with him first. Protective mama energy, but also a warning: this young king has made some questionable moves. Here's the kicker. King was released shortly after when the bench warrant was recalled. He even shared a video saying, "I'm a free man. I'm not locked up." All that stress, all that chaos, and he walked free the very next day. But the damage? Already done. The streets were talking, blogs were buzzing, and King's reputation took another hit. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The internet went wild with stories. King sentenced to 5 years, allegedly jumped in jail, teabagging judges, pure clickbait. The truth? There was zero verification from credible sources. He walked free. End of story. This whole situation revealed the pressure. King has been under-navigating 2 worlds: the privileged life his parents built and the street credibility he feels he needs to earn. Critics labeled him a soft, clout-chasing wannabe gangster. That stings, especially when you're trying to carve your own lane in the rap game. The arrest also brought family dynamics into the spotlight. T publicly addressed King's behavior, drawing parallels to his own past and warning: if he goddamn keep that up, he's going to prison. Heavy words from a father who's lived it and knows how fast things can spiral. T's approach had layers, balancing support with accountability, managing public perception while watching his son repeat mistakes he once made. The difference? When T was reckless, no one had millions documenting every misstep. Privilege can only protect King so far. Push boundaries, catch cases, and even family and lawyers can't save you. The timing couldn't have been worse. This arrest came just as King was trying to establish himself as a serious artist while preparing to become a father. His first child with Jania Nana Epps was on the way, time for growth and responsibility, but legal trouble threatened to overshadow everything. This isn't just about court records or arrests. It's about understanding how a kid from Atlanta royalty went all in trying to prove he belonged in the streets. The pressure, the struggle, and the challenge of finding his identity while growing up in hip-hop. Royalty, it's all there. Born August 25, 2004. Clifford King Joseph Harris III came into the world with everything laid out. High-profile family, cameras on him from day one, starring on VH1's T and Tiny. The family hustle from 2011 to 2017. While other kids worried about normal stuff, King grew up in the public eye. Millions watched him grow. Pressure like that can mess with your head, especially while figuring out who you really are. And here's the wild part, despite all that luxury, King says he spent serious time in the trenches, trying to experience life beyond the glitz. He lived with his grandmother in rough Atlanta neighborhoods, seeking real-life experiences outside money and fame. Some might call it performative. But he was genuinely trying to connect with his roots, understanding where his pops came from before the Grammy Awards in Hollywood. Spotlight. King's music journey started early. Inspired by his father's legacy, he began rapping as a kid and adopted the moniker Keaton, drawn from Dragon Ball. That's some real anime influence blended with southern trap vibes. He dropped tracks, built his social media presence, and worked hard to carve his own path in a game where everyone expected him either to flop or ride on his father's name. Now, let's talk about the love story that changed King's life. Enter Jania Nana Epps, an Atlanta woman who captured his heart and gave him something real to fight for. Their relationship went public around mid-2024 when rumors surfaced that EPS was pregnant. This wasn't a stunt for cameras, it was genuine love, commitment, and responsibility entering King's world. By August 2024, T confirmed on Hot 107.9 that King was expecting a son. Imagine that, T announcing he's about to be a grandfather live on the radio. For King, that must have been surreal, knowing his personal life was now public. Life as hip-hop royalty comes with no privacy. The couple celebrated with a baby shower in October 2024, and by November, little King Jr. was born. Then things got even more interesting. In January 2025, King went viral on Instagram Live, revealing an unconventional arrangement. Epps allows him to date other women as long as it's not emotional or public. Essentially, he could step out without drama. Naturally, the internet exploded. Some called it understanding between adults, others disrespectful. But real talk, every relationship is different, and if both parties are okay, who are we to judge? Life hasn't been all love and baby showers. King's hot-headed side has sparked serious conflicts. The biggest family drama happened on November 26, 2023, at an Atlanta Falcons game when he went live on Instagram, clashing with T and Tiny over whether he grew up with a silver spoon. In February 2024, he had a run-in with comedian Dusky after a joke about King's stand on business phrase. King responded aggressively on Instagram Live, calling Dusky fat and threatening violence. "You fat out of shape, BH, I'll beat the FK out of you." This was disrespectful and body-shaming. While Dusky's job is to joke about public figures, King took it personally, exposing insecurity and difficulty handling criticism. Worrisome for someone trying to build a public career, the body-shaming aspect especially hurt King's credibility. True strength would have been ignoring the joke or responding cleverly, not attacking someone's physical appearance. The beef eventually fizzled out, likely due to intervention from someone in King's circle or his parents. Either way, it showed that when King gets heated, he often reacts before thinking about the consequences. Then there's the infamous Waffle House incident in May 2022. King got into a verbal argument after an employee refused service due to a mix-up. We've all been to Waffle House when we're hungry and tired, right? But King took things to a whole new level, posting videos of himself going off on the staff. They violated. What do you got against Waffle House? He ranted. The whole issue? Pickles. King had asked for no pickles, yet they ended up on his sandwich. On top of that, water seemed to have been poured over it, and the sandwich was massaged. When he opened it, he was disgusted and made sure everyone knew it. The pickle ended up on top instead of inside, and the whole thing looked unappetizing. All these incidents reveal a young man wrestling with his identity. On one hand, he has everything money, connections, opportunities most can only dream of. On the other, he feels the constant pressure to prove himself, show he isn't soft, and earn street respect despite his privileged background. This type of internal conflict is common among second-generation celebrities. There's even a term for it, affluenza, not the legal defense, but the psychological struggle where privileged kids wrestle with identity, purpose, and authenticity because they've never truly had to fight for anything. They feel guilt for their advantages, but also resist letting them go. For King, this manifests in creating struggle where none exists. He seeks moments to prove his toughness, his realness, and his connection to street culture. But coming from privilege, these attempts often appear performative to those who faced real hardship. His relationship with his parents has been complicated throughout all this. T has always emphasized discipline, drawing from his own legal troubles and street experiences. But King pushed back, insisting on making his own mistakes even if that meant publicly disappointing his family. Generational conflict runs deep in hip-hop families because the culture values street credibility and authentic struggle. T earned his reputation through real danger, poverty, and legal battles. How do you pass that kind of authenticity to a child who's never known real risk? By March 2025, things began to improve. King reflected on the family feud, noting progress in their relationship and comparing it to father-son dynamics like Ghost and Tret in Power. That's real growth, stepping back, analyzing situations and working toward repairing family bonds. Now let's look at how the culture reacted to all the King Harris drama. Reactions were everything from supportive to savage, understanding to brutally honest. Social media can make or break a young artist, and this situation highlighted how the hip-hop community reacts when one of their own stumbles and what it could mean for King's future in the game. The internet never runs out of opinions. King's legal troubles gave everyone material. On Twitter, reactions ranged from roasting to reality checks. Many mocked his attempt to project toughness despite his affluent upbringing, saying things like, "Kid wants to be a street _ so bad, wants to be a thug so bad. Born to a millionaire, wants to be a felon." The irony of someone with every advantage chasing danger didn't go unnoticed. Memes were ruthless too, with King being compared to Garlic Knots and jokes flying about his appearance. Comments like, "Bro looking like Garlic Knot" or "The Garlic Knot strikes again" were everywhere, often paired with frustrated T reactions. But it wasn't all jokes. Some fans expressed genuine concern for King's well-being. One user wrote, "This boy has been screaming for help for years and nobody around him cares enough." With a baby on the way, the situation felt even heavier. People looking past privilege and seeing a young man struggling with identity and purpose. Reddit discussions echoed that energy but went deeper. Users labeled him a Nepo baby, showing negative traits, suggesting some of his street behavior was inauthentic. The Reddit community really questioned his credibility. The broader hip-hop response was more nuanced. Most established artists stayed quiet, avoiding family drama. But that silence sent its own message about how the culture treats its own when they stumble. If King had truly earned widespread respect in the community, more artists might have offered guidance or support. Now, let's break down how this drama impacted King's music career and long-term prospects. At 21, he's still building his brand as Kid Sion, working to establish himself as an independent artist. His 2025 EPB Ready Draw blends trap vibes with personal storytelling, but legal troubles can limit opportunities touring, collaborations, or even major label interest. From a business standpoint, labels and promoters might see him as a risk. Pending court cases, probation restrictions, or travel limitations create obstacles for anyone investing in his career. Public perception hasn't helped either. Some view him as a troubled Nepo kid leveraging his father's fame, which has led to questions about authenticity and could alienate fans or industry gatekeepers. Still, King has advantages. His family connections act as a safety net, with T promoting his music and softening short-term setbacks. Having a Grammy-winning father with influence in the industry is a privilege most emerging artists can't claim. Plus, controversy, if handled correctly, can actually boost an artist's profile. The arrest reinforced existing narratives about King. Bodycam footage released in August 2025 confirmed the stop details but showed no additional charges for marijuana or the firearm. For fans hoping to see maturity, that footage was a reality check. His stand-on-business persona is both a blessing and a curse. It attracts fans who admire his energy but exposes him to criticism when actions don't match words. Attempts to project street credibility despite privilege often clash with public expectations, creating tension in his brand. His social media presence is also affected. King's following is built on being real, tough, and street-savvy, but ongoing legal issues, family conflicts, and public feuds make that persona appear less authentic and more reckless. Streaming numbers, engagement, and sponsorship opportunities can suffer when brands and platforms grow wary of controversy. Interestingly, becoming a father could be a turning point. The birth of Little King Jr. in November 2024 seems to have shifted his perspective. With T publicly supporting this new chapter, redemption arcs resonate with fans. Young artists taking responsibility, learning from mistakes, and evolving. If King channels these experiences into music and personal growth, it could become part of his origin story rather than a cautionary tale. King's situation also reflects broader trends in hip-hop. Second-generation rappers face unique pressures, fame, expectation, and constant scrutiny. Children of rap legends like Lil Wayne, Master P, and now King Harris often struggle to prove themselves while navigating public perception. His story sparks discussions about privilege, authenticity, and the skepticism wealthy artists face while trying to build their own careers. The misinformation around King's arrest highlights the dangers of clickbait. Wild rumors about 5-year prison sentences and jail beatings spread online, despite lacking evidence. Thousands believed and shared these false narratives, showing how social media can distort accountability and shape public opinion. Family dynamics play a major role too. T's approach, balancing tough love with support, reflects the challenges of raising children in the spotlight while trying to teach life lessons. Guiding a son through a world you once navigated is never easy, especially when the public is watching every move. Looking at the long-term effects, this controversy could ultimately benefit King if handled wisely. Hip-hop celebrates comebacks and personal growth. His reconciliation with T by early 2025 shows maturity that could translate into stronger music, better fan engagement, and a more compelling public image. Social media reactions reveal how invested audiences are in seeing young black men succeed or fail. Some criticism stems from a desire for King to use his advantages responsibly. Other reactions come from spectators who enjoy watching privileged youth struggle. Either way, King Harris represents more than a single legal incident. He embodies the intersection of privilege, authenticity, and generational expectation in hip-hop. The culture will continue watching, judging, and commenting. King still has the chance to redirect his narrative. At 21, with a new child and improving family dynamics, he could transform his experiences into meaningful, authentic artistry. Will he keep chasing street credibility through risky choices, or use his platform to reflect, grow, and connect with his audience? His next moves will define his legacy not just as a rapper, but as a young man navigating the pressures of life in the public eye.